What don't we get enough of on the small crossover market? Coupes, said nobody. This is the Volkswagen Taigo. What is the Volkswagen Taigo and what does it compete against? Honestly, I have no idea, and I get the feeling also VW isn't really sure. This car was first offered in Brazil as the VW Nivus, and it was very successful despite the T-Cross and the T-Roc being available there as well. I understand how the T-Roc slots between the smaller T-Cross and the larger Tiguan, but I can't fathom how Taigo's being positioned as a T-Cross based liftback about the size and price of T-Roc. Perhaps if you study the VW product matrix, you'll see how the Taigo is better than the competition in every aspect, but unless VW hangs its product matrix on billboards and across showrooms, I can't tell you what this car is really for, because this kind of money today buys you a T-Roc. But let's say you have no clue about VW model range, so T-Cross and T-Roc sound obscure. All you want is a small crossover with a large boot, good equipment, and you don't care about the rear legroom. You enter the VW showroom and let's assume willing suspension of disbelief here, so the last 2 years didn't happen, and there are actually cars in the showroom. So you see the answer to all your prayers, and it's the Taigo. The Taigo really has a large boot. At 440 liters, is almost as big as in the T-Cross. When you slide the rear bench forward, in the Taigo the rear seat is fixed, so you can get a large boot, but there's very little legroom in the back, the opposite of the Honda HR-V. There are shopping bag hooks, and you can drop the floor, beneath which there is still space for a space saver, optional in some markets. And when the floor is in its upper position, you can fit the parcel shelf underneath it. In the back there is very little legroom and no armrest, but there is 2 ISOFIX anchor points, 2 USB-C ports, and door pockets. I don't know why bother, since you won't be carrying anyone back there, anyone with legs anyway. On the plus side, even when the front seat is pushed all the way back, you can still fold the backrest no problem. Something that Renault failed to achieve in its Kangoo van, also in the family version of it. In the front, it's pretty much what the T-Cross will look like after the facelift. The digital instrument cluster is already here, but the climate control panel is now touch controlled, and there are buttons around the gear lever like in the Polo. There is also a newer version of the infotainment system with a proper internet connection, rather than you having to waste one of the USB ports on one of those plug-in pen drive modems. On the plus side, there is wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and the AC panel may be touch controlled, but at least VW decided not to integrate it with the infotainment system just yet, and that's a good thing, because the infotainment system can take a long time to load, long enough for me to reverse out of a parking spot without the reversing camera. It should be independent of the infotainment system, but it clearly isn't. The door pockets are large, the cup holders are adequate, storage under the armrest is small, and the glove box is average size. By the way, the armrest slides back and forth, but it isn't height adjustable like you would get on bigger VW models. The seats have surprisingly long thigh support, but it's not adjustable. What is adjustable is the lumbar support, which is good, and that's on the driver as well as the passenger seat. Also, on the front passenger seat, there is the third ISOFIX anchor point. Visibility is okay, but soundproofing is poor. Now, my test route was on a windy day, but even without the wind, I can hear every car passing me by. Also, at around 70-80 kilometers per hour, there's a whistling noise from outside, like I get on my Mini because of the roof rack, but there's no roof rack on the Taigo, so what's causing the whistling noise? I don't know. The engine lineup is modest. There is a 1-liter 3-cylinder TSI producing 95 or 110 horsepower and a 1.5 150 horsepower TSI. Now, the basic engine gets a 5-speed manual. The mid-level engine gets a 6-speed manual or 7-speed DSG, and the range-topping 1.5-liter TSI gets a 7-speed DSG. All of these cars are front-wheel drive only. This is the range-topping 1.5 TSI. VW claims it should do around 6 liters per 100 kilometers combined, and this is achievable. The 0 to 100 kilometers per hour time should be 8.3 seconds, and on a drier day, I got even less. The gearbox is programmed to keep the emissions down, so it upshifts sooner than I would like. If you want to keep a momentum, you have to drive in S or in manual sequential, where you can use the paddles, but even then, the gearbox will upshift for you when you hit the limiter or before you hit the limiter. The Taigo is lower than the T-Cross, so it should be better around corners, but it's not really, so it's a city car anyway, so you're not going to be racing it. The Taigo has adaptive cruise control with lane keeping assist. There is also a system which will adapt the speed to the speed limit in the area, but you may want to turn this off before someone rear-ends you. There are also matrix LED lights, which is something you usually get on larger or more expensive cars, so yay VW. But is this all enough to persuade you to buy the Taigo instead of the T-Roc or the Honda HR-V? Prices start at €19,865, but this press car is spec'd up to €35,845. That's a lot. So what do you think about the VW Taigo? Would you buy this over a T-Cross or a T-Roc, or maybe get a Honda HR-V? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like my sarcastic, down-to-earth and possibly mildly amusing car reviews, join me every Friday at 3 p.m. Central European Time, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video, as it helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.